Now all the scripts you see here and all the scripts here are things that we've written to try to just make some of this easier. So let's say we started and we got our test project. We got a drive from the client that has some shots on it. So we find the footage, we click the folder that has all these different sequences in it, and we say okay. It goes through and it finds, great, it's got 10 image sequences, and so we say okay, go ahead and do it to all the footage. Is it aces? Actually, the show is aces. And let's go ahead and move that. So what it's doing now is it's moving all the footage over, and if you look over here, it's actually building the comps. It's the loader, it's the saver in the correct place, it's doing the gamut to it to change it to aces, and all of that is taken care of for us. Do we want to process any more footage? Nope. See in hell. All right. And then we can see, great, we now have it all there ready to go. So we click on the shot and let's say, okay, comp loader. That finds it, takes it over and puts it inside, ta-da, inside Fusion. We'll hit render to it. Yep, sure, start render. Let's set that shot to me. We're gonna do this and we click version up. Sure enough, it moves the old one up, puts it in here, finds everything for us. So I come over here, make my adjustment. Sure, green, great. But this time we right click here, we go script, we say Bluefire version or smart, changes the comp to version 2, changes the footage to version 2. Go ahead and use my little render controller to do this because I want it to be a little bit faster. Okay, that is done now, and version up. That one's good. We like everything about it. We can then set it to show client. So then we say we go to this next shot. Let's track it so we can put something in it. So we're going to click on to Synthize. Sends it right from generation over to Synthize. So over in generation, inside the metadata, because it's red footage, when we get, it'll send it over to Synthize. It will give it the rolling shutter information, which is super useful. Anyway, so that's good. We hit save, and actually, right there in our clipboard is where that needs to go. We hit it saved it, but there's some weird thing with the scripting that we have to put it in the clipboard, and then you just paste it in. So then we can say, okay, great, let's export to Fusion. So now if we go, okay, comp loader, great, that's the shot like we would expect. But we also have comp clipboard track. What that does is it goes and puts wherever where that Synthize file was saved and puts it in our clipboard. So now we have the 3D scene, and everything is brought in like you'd expect. That's Synthize, but Synthize being ran through some scripts that send it directly from generation to Synthize, and then gets it inside generation, gets its track, puts it in the clipboard, so you have it right there inside of Fusion. How does it talk to 3D apps? Well, let's say we're going to do this shot, right? We're not sure what that shot is, but we click the to Lightwave button. Sends it over to Lightwave. It says, do you want to go change your content? Absolutely, we do. And then you'll see our time range is set exactly right. It's now loaded inside Lightwave. Our render globals are set correctly with the timing. The output, everything is absolutely set up for you. We'll just version up for ourselves. So you can see the versioning up, versions up the scene, and it actually versioned up all those, all our render settings for us. That looks great. Comp loader. Now up here we can just say, get the newest Lightwave render. There it is. There's our beautiful, amazing shot. I think that's great. Let's show the client. We go down here and we say client approval. Chris wants the response. Now what it's actually doing, if you look over here, is going through and making H.264s of all of these inside of Fusion with some text on it, with a logo on it, some frame watermarking, All that stuff just done completely automatically. The script is going to make an HTML page with the H.264s in it. Great. Okay. And we can see, great. We have 2 shots. This is when that happened. They can see it right here in a browser. And again, this is all made through a script for generation. Yeah, those are all just fantastic shots. So we're going to approve the one, and we're going to say Chris approves that. And it changes colors. It was made by Chris. We know that worked. This one, oh, I hate it. Change ordered. I want that to be a red ball, please. Who said that? Chris also said that. We're going to send that. Okay, we've got notes on both of our shots. Then we're going to send that notification. Okay, so we have just put in our notes from the client approval system. We come into here, make sure we are in editing mode, select a shot, and we say, get me those notes. So what this says is, look, it is now director greenlit because they approved it. This one, however, needs redo. The note is, red ball please. Well, who said that? Well, Chris did. He signed it. This is when he said that. And we can also see Chris didn't put any notes in, but that is when it was director greenlit. And that's all automatic. So the director liked this shot. Then I'm going to click final. So what we do is we have an actual finals folder, and in that is always the newest version. There is an approvals. Now again, you saw all these were generated with the scripting, but in deliverables, there's approvals. And if we went in there, we'd see the different versions. It would go up to however many they need. But in final, there's only ever the one final. And so that makes it very much, at the end of the day, that's what you deliver. There's no confusion there. Now let's say those are EXRs that were in the final delivery. Let's say they didn't want that. Well, we have a whole plethora of ProRes 444, 422 HQ, DNX HD, H.264s, all these different options to be able to render them out to something else. And that's inside of generation, just talking to other applications. I think we use FFmpeg to do these ProReses on Windows, of course. So say we have these 2 shots that are very similar, going to have the same essential setup. We can do the comp loader, which will take it over and put it into Fusion, which was what we had before. But then we can also click on any other shot and say comp clipboard. And then that essentially just puts the shot into our clipboard, so then we can come over here, paste it, and and then there. Really super easy to get the nodes from one shot to another shot if it's going to be the same essential setup. Now the question asks, because it's all based in generation, it's all based off of actual footage, what do you do if you need to do a full CG shot that doesn't have any footage? Well, make full CG temp footage. Okay, what's the name? Well, how long is the pure CG shot going to be? Let's say it's going to be 47 frames. Okay, boom. What that's actually doing over here is it's rendering out a JPEG sequence, making the comp, and then puts it inside generation. So then when we click on it, it's got the 47 frames, it's all set up as far as length, and that way we can use all our same tools as before. If we lightwave that, then it'll come into lightwave and we have our stuff all set up here. Now one thing I didn't mention about that to lightwave button, so the first thing it checks is there a lightwave scene? If there are there many? If there are many, it gets the newest version. If there's not, it looks into that tracking folder and gets the lightwave scene from there, and then sets up all the correct outputs. And then if there's none of those, which there wouldn't be in this case, then it just makes a scene with everything correct. Bidding a project is always obnoxious. We wrote a thing called Bidfire, which is this. So what that does is you just will minimize the click on start, And this is easier with multiple monitors. It's a little tricky, all on the same thing. But essentially, you have your playback control right here inside Vidfire. I can click on the next shot and just go through it this way. But then the great thing is I can very quickly just say, okay, that's gonna, that'll take an hour. Okay, that's gonna take 2 hours. Okay, that's gonna take no, let's say with the animation it's gonna take more. And you go through, and as you can see, it's just logging all of this. You can also go in and put assignments. So let's say, with our team, these are kind of our lead guys, and they would be sitting in here saying, okay, well, with our, it's going to take, 2 hours for Matt. That's going to be a Chris shot. And then you go back and you can see it populates it down here. Or if you need to break it up and say, there's going to be more than that, so Rob's going to work on this as well, then he will be in there. You can put in shot notes for the specific shot. You can put in scene notes. And then you can put in scene build cost or overall show if you're going to build a creature for the whole show or for the whole scene. And when you're all done, it builds this little log. So you can see each one, who's it assigned to, how many hours, total hours per artist, total cost, and puts all the notes in there. So you have that. It also makes a comma separated value one, so I can just open that in OpenOffice. Yeah, that is correct. And then we can see here, so we can add it all up, the scenes, we can add up per department, and that gets us a very easy way to keep track of everything in a show. And the cool thing is that all just talks through, through generation, which makes it terribly convenient to do things. So that's Vidfire. We made this thing for a generation report. And that essentially says, okay, this is how many Chris has, this is how many each artist has, this is where they're all at. He's got one final, one needs redo. And I can kind of see how everybody's doing in a very quick, just a quick glance report. And then I can see how we are doing as a team, where everything's at. So that report is super handy. We also have, Tomoka, Tamaya. And then if we don't have the application, we just have the to clipboard button where it just puts it in your clipboard, so then you can go over to Photoshop or something else and just paste the link in there. But you can see how little I actually interacted with a file browser. As an artist, you just spend all your time getting shots done instead of figuring out, well, where's that file? Well, where's this file? Or where does this need to go? Or let me render these all out to something so I can get them up there for a review. None of that. It's just you get work done, and generation with some scripting takes care of everything else.